After cleaning up, this is probably most popular and also most important skin retouching technique. I'm talking about Dutch and burn, and I'm going to show you quick lessons how to do this quickly. And first of all, some of the good information. So on the fashion images, you don't really need to do that much of dodging and burning. In fact, on many images that we're going to work, you don't have to do this at all. This is like, keep in mind, you don't have to do this. I choose this image because there is some cleaning up to do. So this is the right image to show you the techniques. But in many fashion images, you don't do this step, but I find this important enough to show you. So how to do dodge and burn? What is this? Simply retouching with light. So face, not flat structure, we have some shadows, right? You have some scars, they leave some dark shadows, or the scars more likely keep the bright dots on the face. So how to fix them carefully and nicely is to fix by retouching with light. So when the part is too bright, you paint this with the dark, with the shadow, so it's getting even out into the darker spots. And if the spots, some spots is too dark, you paint with light and it's getting even out with around the brighter parts. How I do this? You simply create two dodge and burn layers, right? One will be for dodge, I'm going to call it D, and the other will be for burn. So the dodge is brightening, right? The burn is darkening. So right now everything is visible, but I need to explain you. In Photoshop we have something like layer masks, and this layer mask appear here. You see, we work with adjustment layers and they have these masks. So I applied this curve right now, and this curve brightening everything. Why everything is visible? Because I worked on this layer, and also my layer mask is white, which means everything is visible. Let's call it simple. White color means visibility. Black color means invisibility. So if this layer could be all black, this effect will be not visible. I believe this is simple enough right now. In Photoshop, you can invert your layers or layer masks by pressing Command or Control if you're working on Windows, and I like the word invert. So I'm going to do this, look, Command, I'm pressing Command and then I, like invert to invert this. And my effect, my layer mask is black, so my effect is invisible. I'm going to do the same to burn. And two of the effects are invisible. So one is cleaning with this. You see, I'm choosing the brush and I have my custom brush made by me, which I'm going to share with you. So it's a great opportunity. I'm going to share with you my custom brush, which is the best brush for dodge and burn compared to any other brushes. I'm working with white color. So to switch the color, you press D on your keyboard. So you have black and white, and then you can press X to just switch in between. So if we add some white color, make sure that this layer is checked here. So you see I have this white stuff around my layer mask. If it's here, doesn't work, make sure you work on this layer mask. So checked the layer mask. And when I paint with color white, as you can see, I'm bringing what's visible on this layer. If I paint with color black, I'm bringing what's visible on this layer. That's how it looks, you can see, by pressing Alt or Option and hitting on this layer mask. You see? That's where I paint, and this is the shapes I created. This is not something we want. What we want, except the fact that we work with the brush, we want the flow to be soft or opacity. This is not important. I like flow because flow allows you to keep the pressure on. So more I paint in one area, let's say like here, the stronger effect is visible. It gives me really nice and natural control. And the other thing is I want to create black and white layer on the top above this layer, because this helps me to see things better. So I use hue saturation. I'm going to call this BW. I'm going to desaturate this, and then I'm going to change blending mode into color. because if it's into color, it purely shows just the lines. It prevents how the colors are. If I keep it in blending mode normal, it's not exactly, it doesn't represent the same luminosity and color values as the color blending mode. So blending mode make only colors black and white but prevent the luminosity values, and then I increase the curves, and I just trying to make it darker for some certain spots and increase the contrast to make it easier for me to retouch. One thing, good news, I'm giving you the actions, the dodge and burn actions. So instead of creating them from very beginning, you're just going to hit dodge, play, burn, play, black and white, help player play. It looks slightly different, as you can see. It doesn't make a lot of difference. What I did, I just put these layer masks into the groups. So how you put to the group, you just press Command or Control and G, and everything is in the group when you select. And then I created layer mask on the group, which you do by pressing this small icon, and then of course invert this in the same way. So that's how I did this. And here is the same Dutch layer, and here is hue saturation layer, the saturating this, but it's not something you should be interested now, but you check if the saturation is alright at the end, right? You can make it even invisible, but at the end you put on saturation and you see if the areas where you were dodging maybe appeared more saturated, so then you just desaturate this layer and this might appear less saturated, so you just slightly saturate this, but everything else is the same. Then how I work with this, let's zoom it a little bit, how I see well. And now with this black and white layer, it's visible how we're supposed to retouch this image, right? So I will start with burn. I will choose a brush and flow 5 and slightly, you see here is everything white. It's not correct. I need to paint on it to fix it. Let's see if it works. So I will be painting and trying to even this out. Here, see, it's very simple. It's not that difficult. I mean, at the very beginning, it might be a little bit confusing. Trust me, I had a lot of difficulties with dodge and burn at the very beginning, but after a while, being retoucher and practicing a lot, which I hope you're going to do, because it's a great job. It gives you really flexibility in work. You can decide your own hours, or you can work for studio if you build your portfolio, of course, which takes a while, but you can later work for some retouching studio and more likely make reasonable money and enjoying your work, which is a creative work and the area I always wanted to do. I'm a freelancer. So I retouch for some fashion designers, for magazines, for TV, for websites, celebrities, and I just simply work in my own time, mostly enjoying fashion images, because I was telling you, fashion images, you can retouch them the faster than beauty images, and more likely it pays better. Simply because there is more work in this, because there is, as I said, a lot of fashion designers, fashion brands, much more than cosmetic companies, for example. So, and that's why the fashion job is more promising. Have a look at this small area, what I did. See, this looks much better. Of course, I always remember about the clean layer, because when we need to do some more even out, just feel free to do this. You can do this anytime, and this black and white layer helps you to see things even a little better. So I choose this image. This is really example where we have actually a lot of dodge and burn to do as for fashion image, but usually it will be much less, which I'm going to show you. We're going to, of course, practice on some other image, full body shot, where we're going to do cleaning up in the next lesson. So just a little bit more over here, and we'll try to sort this out a little bit more in the more shadows area, like here, which I would do. I just turn off one of these layers, and I will try to even out this area over here, right? And quickly painting over here. And will be looking much better. The other mistake that I said during cleaning up is most of the people forget about other parts as hands and chests, and this happens actually mostly with Dutch and Burn, less with cleaning up somehow, but when someone start to learning some Dutch and Burn, they absolutely overdo this on the face, which is bad. It's better to do less job, trust me with this, and underdo image, because everyone looking for natural outcomes. You need to remember this. Natural outcomes is everything that you want, and everyone wants. I had many times the job I did, and after I finished my job, I was told, can you do less retouching? Can you remove some retouching? And I was really angry because I knew how much effort I put, but then they were asking me to do less. So I knew I could actually save much more time, which would automatically bring more value to my earnings, because I would spend less time and make the same amount of money. So keep this in mind. This is very important. Always better do less than do more. People don't want that much retouch as you could think. The difference is with beauty, which is also natural, but you have to spend a little bit more, but you never want to overdo the image. You absolutely never want to overdo the image. Go back to neck, and about these lines on the neck, I don't want to remove them, just these strong lines over here that look a little too rough. So this one I'm brightening up. But the major ones, no, you want to that's how the neck looks like. That's how every person's neck looks like. So you want to eventually make them a little smaller, but you don't want to remove the lines on the neck. Another mistake many people do. And remember this, you don't want to remove these lines on the neck. Just slightly make them smaller, make them look very soft, natural, because the model is was chosen for a reason, the way she is, and also the fashion is for humans. So a little bit more work over here, and after this I will be done. Of course, the Dutch and Burn will not be done on the clothes. This is not something we do on the clothes, so this is just something that you doing on the skin. To properly and non-destructively to clean this, and after that your skin job will be finished. So a little bit more over here. I need to even out this chest well. I will have some more dots over here. It's common on the chest. The nature of these transitions is much different than on the face. They are more difficult to spot probably for me, and sometimes we can overdo this area, which is also not good, but it looks probably better than in chest case when you underdo this, because later we increase the contrast and everything, and if you don't do chest at all, that will look very, very rough. The texture of it will be very ugly and rough. So this was longer lesson, but I wanted to make sure that I give you all information about Dutch and Burn in one lesson, because I don't want to make too many lessons on this, because this is fashion, and in fashion you want to really pay attention to natural, to colors, to clothes, and not spend ages on on just skin retouching. So I hope this lesson was short enough to not make you bored, but also very informative to make sure that your future work will be just perfect. I will do a little bit more work over here, and we will be able to move on to the next lesson. So it still looks natural. A little bit more touches over here. It still looks very contrasty, but when we turn off this black and white layer, it actually looks really good. A little bit more of her face. She has the nature that she has rather big pores, but pores are not something you want to destroy. You can actually reduce them a little, as I mentioned to you before, by working with Clone Stamp, but you don't want to remove pores. It's really simple to redust them and make them a little smaller with Clone Stamp. So okay, let's move into the next lesson.